All right. I think we're pretty much good to go. Hey everybody. Debo here. It's been a while since I did my last vlog. Took about a week off, maybe 2 weeks, away from streaming. Enjoyed some worlds for League of Legends and do some stuff of my own and get some stuff done in real life. But now I'm coming back, getting right back onto the regular streaming basis. But I just wanted to talk about some things some days today. Um, uh, Basically, the only thing in the world of Diablo is what's going on is pretty much just people grinding out their Paragon levels and getting keys and pushing greater rifts. There have been some new discoveries, like I know Monks discovered like a new static build that lets them push even higher in the greater rifts, and then also I found out that Crusaders actually have a support build that goes well with the Monk build. So Crusaders are actually doing high level greater rifts now too, which is pretty cool. Which, as I told people before, it's good to test out a lot of different classes, even if they seem weak, because you never know, they might have a potential to be used in groups and do well. So that is pretty cool. The only thing I really see that was a big discussion over this last week or so, and I abstained from talking about it because I think it's kind of horse shit, what everybody's talking about here. The Diablo 3 open letter from the community discussion, and this is a topic in which they were talking about everything that's your development team. You're making it incredible difficulty for us with the whole system with the Paragon and the botters and the whole system that we have, and then it has all these signatures from all these community members of the Diablo 3. And what, long story short, what this open letter talks about is the whole botting issue with Diablo. And it talks about, you know, what Blizzard needs to do to fix it, and how we're not like really appreciative of it, and how the bots are dominating the whole leaderboard thing and the situation, and how it's hard to compete. And I'll see if I can pull it up, but I know Manor Cookie did post an in-stream video showing a Barbarian bot in action, and it's actually very scary how efficient that bot is. It was doing T9 speed clear runs, and basically what the problem is the two biggest problems in Diablo 3 is Turbo HUD, which is a third-party application that's kind of like, I would say like it's like a glorified map hack, and it tells you everything that you need to know. It gives you an advantage over, well, some people will say, oh, well, it's not really a map hack, it doesn't give you an advantage. Well, it gives you an advantage over people who don't use it, and it's a third-party program, and you're not meant to use it. And also botting. The Turbo HUD is utilized inside of the greater roofs so that basically they can push higher level greater rifts and reduce their time, or reduce themselves from basically dealing with monsters that are going to be bad. So if I'm using Turbo HUD and I see ahead of us we got a bad elite pack, I could be like, okay, we got this elite pack coming up, we need to skip it, so just go through, let's stun it, and just keep moving on, and everybody knows, hey guys, we need to head to the right path because the upper path is going to lead to a long dead end. And that's kind of what the program really does. It allows you to see things and do things that you're not supposed to do. You could be like, hey guys, I see we have a conduit pylon ahead of us in another room. Let's go ahead and gather up these mobs, and then we'll go ahead and pop it. Oh, well, we have pretty good mob density, so we'll save that conduit, so on and so forth. It lets you get an unfair advantage to see what's on the map in order to progress through the higher level greater rifts and stuff like that. And a lot of people just basically accept it as being legal, but it's not. And the second issue, like this community letter had to deal with, was basically talking about the situation with bots and how there's a bunch of bots right now. And the main reason why people bot, I don't really think it's so much for the Paragon, but it helps you find certain items that you need, crafting materials, so you can keep crafting the perfect sets that you want. And the most important thing for bots is getting the trial keys, or not the trial keys, I'm sorry, the greater rift keys. Because if you have an endless supply of keys, basically what I can do, let's say I play Diablo 8 hours a day. I play 8 hours a day, and I have a bunch of rift keys, and I spam those just doing greater rifts and just, using the whole group situation where, you're maximizing your experience and getting a lot of Paragon levels, which has been a problem this season because pretty much if you don't group, you're going to fall behind. So what happens is these guys, they get in groups, and they grind for 8 hours straight, they grind through all their keys, and that's fine. So he has no more keys, and he's like, okay, I play for 8 hours, and I'm tired, I'm going to sleep now. So he sets his computer up, so while he goes to sleep, for that other, let's say 16 hours, or let's just say he only bots 20 hours out the day. Some people have been averaging that playtime, which is pretty crazy since the beginning of seasons. So, you still got, let's say 20 minus 8, that means you're down to 12, right? So it means you bot 12 hours a day, and during that 12 hours while you're botting, that bot's getting, you know, a little bit of experience, especially some of this, actually from the barbarians. These some of the experience it seems like they do pretty good. But you could set a barbarian up or whatever class is most efficient for botting. But it's a very sophisticated program. You can tell it what to pick up, what not to pick up, what to sell, what to do, and how to run things. But it will farm your keys while you're away. So while you're gone for those 12 hours, your bot's still going in, getting you crafting materials, getting you keys, and allowing you to, so every time you come back to the game, you can just focus on greater rift grinding. You don't have to worry about no more rifts. You know, you actually can just keep focusing on grinding out the rifts, getting higher level paragons, and just keep going on and on and on and on. And this gives you a lot of extra paragon levels because you're decreasing your downtime of when you actually are controlling your player or your character. You can actually just focus on greater rifts because you want to get your experience, and that decreases your downtime from doing regular rifts, which really don't give you much outside of just more keys to do the greater rifts. So the main idea is to do more and more and more and more greater rifts. So that's how people are just getting the crazy staggering paragon levels, because the time they do spend online is just spent grinding paragon levels, and then occasionally when they want to rank or whatever. Paragon levels is pretty broken and kind of crazy. I remember I was talking about that and telling that a lot before, because like I said, eventually it's going to get to a point where when paragon levels get so high, there's going to be no way for people to either catch up, or paragon level is going to be the focus of a season. Which is funny, because I remember everybody said they wanted the items to be easier and the itemizations and stuff like that, and people wanted gear to be easy, and people wanted legendary items to be easier to drop. And the funny thing is now, all the legendary gear is real easy to drop, and you can get full sets within a week or two. You can get full ancient sets set up for a nice set. So now the gear is trivialized and it's real easy to get gear, but now the grinding aspect of it now, instead of basically searching for, because back in the day we used to search for gear, it used to be weeks for you to find perfect sets of gear and set it up, and that used to be acceptable because at least when you got a new piece of gear, it was something to look forward to, and that's great. And that used to be like, oh man, I got a better weapon, oh man, I got one of the best, you know, weapons in the world, or I finally got that last. And I think that was more of an acceptable structure than what we have now, because now it's really easy to get gear, so you feel good about yourself, but now you don't even have the situation where you're looking forward to anything but paragon levels. So when you get all your gear and you're sitting there and you're at paragon level 800, you got all the gear that you want, and you're like, well shit, the only thing I can do now is just keep grinding endless paragon levels, because the paragon levels do add up, because they add to your base stats, and once you get so many paragon levels, it can basically make the difference between you clearing a higher grade rift and not. So instead of having the gear be the major focus of the game, which it always should have been, now the major focus of the game is mindless experience grinding. So the things that people, it's funny because the community wanted this. The community didn't want, everybody was so worried about third party and people buying gear and doing all this kind of stuff, and I told people, no matter what you do, you're never going to defeat everything. And I specifically told people that when you think the grass is always greener, it's not. The reason why the gear system is the way it is, and the gear should always be the best, the major part of the game that you're always looking to upgrade or something, because it's like an adrenaline fix. It's like a drug, right? When you get a new piece of gear, you're like, oh my gosh, it took me a while to get it. It finally dropped, and you're excited because that's that one piece of gear that improves it. You know, I think to get a full set of gear should take like a month or 2 months. I think it should be a lot harder to get gear, because then that's at least something you can look forward to and something you can always strive for. But in the current situation, the current meta of the game, I can get fully geared out in 2 weeks, and then the only thing that's left to do is just grind endless paragons. So would you rather be hunting for items and actually having a trade community and wheeling and dealing and looking for the best in slots of items and stuff, and actually having your items mean stuff? Or would you just rather have it so that Blizzard just gives you everything that you want and you're sitting on ancient item gear in 2 weeks, and then after that all you're going to be doing is doing endless paragon farming, because that's what makes the big difference. So I think the community traded one of the lesser evils for one of the bigger evils, so now we have mindless grinding with no point, and now the gear used to always be the focus in action RPGs. And of course people are going to buy, and I told people that from back in the day. I said, if you had the auction, the reason why the auction house is good, and even, okay, let's say we don't have, okay, there's two reasons. The auction house is very good because it keeps Blizzard honest. And if Blizzard always has to be invested in the player economy, that means they're always going to have to ban bots and deal with that kind of stuff. Maybe they're not going to get all the bots, but if we're invested into having a player economy with gold or people trading stuff, an auction house or no auction house, or some kind of system where people are trading for their goods, Blizzard, if something happens where people are doing dupes or something crazy, they have to either look into the situation and figure out, oh hell, how are we going to reset this problem? How are we going to deal with it? Are we going to ban the people? Are we going to, well, the season's almost over, does it really matter? Then we'll start a new season and all the trading will basically reset again. All that shit, like, they have to deal with because they have to deal with the player economy. And the crazy thing is when people think, oh, we're getting rid of trading, you're not, we're only be able to trade with people when the item drops for you in a party, you're not going to be able to have an auction house, you're not going to be able to trade anymore. When you took that out the game, you, like, okay, you did, people, the players wanted that shit. This is two things that happened. One, there's no more microtransactions for Blizzard to make their money with the real money auction house. So when there's no microtransactions, do you really think they're going to invest any more development time into the game when they're not making extra revenue off of it? Just think. They had a real money auction house. Granted, people can buy their gear, but players can make money. At least people would be, you know, playing the game and having something to look forward to and wheeling, dealing, and trading gear and stuff like that. And at least Blizzard would have more incentive to deal with the bots, right? As opposed to now where there really is no incentive to deal with the bots, and that's why it's running so rampant. And when items used to get so expensive, you know, people maybe wouldn't necessarily want to risk their accounts because it's like, well, shit, you know, I got $1,000 or let's say $5,000 worth of equipment on my account. Do I really want to risk it with the bot or doing something stupid or risk it trading from one bot account to another and things of that nature? And, you know, whatever. So, at least in that system, Blizzard had to keep the game honest by monitoring the game and dealing with bots because they had a player economy and they always had to deal with it. And they were pretty good with that. Granted, a lot of people didn't like the whole idea, like people are paying to win, but I mean, it is what it is. Because I mean, if you found an item that sold for $3,000, would you not sell it? I mean, like, I guarantee you, if anybody found like an item that was worth $3,000, they would sell it. Or, you know, $250, they would sell it. Blizzard gets their percentage of it, and you withdraw your money. Blizzard gets their cut. So at a $250, you might end up pulling out $210. Blizzard keeps $40. They make their money. Microtransactions is great. If they keep making money off the Diablo auction house, and that basically gives them incentive to keep updating the game and pushing out patches a lot quicker. And, you know, the biggest dream or the evolution of what the auction house should have been, it could have been something like when you bid on something or when you buy something, it binds to your account and you can't retrade it. Or so you basically can't flip stuff. That would have been a pretty quick thing. They could have put certain checks and boundaries inside the game to prevent people from basically really abusing the system. And they could have evolved it. Could you imagine if we had a real money auction house? Or let's say we didn't have a real money auction house. Let's say we had the auction house. Or let's just say we had trading, right? But the real cool thing is, the dream it could have been 3 to 4 month seasons. Real money auction house starts. That season has its own real money auction house. And after the season's over, all the season auction house shit, all that stuff rolls over to non-season auction house stuff, whatever. A new season comes out, and then the economy resets. When the economy resets, it means items get their value back up again, and everything goes over again. You see this in Path of Exile, even with the RMT. Even though that's legal with the real money trading, every time like a season starts for Path of Exile, Exalts and all that kind of stuff and ladder are skyrocketing in price. And the only reason I'm going to bring this up is people are going to do it anyway. So at least Blizzard takes a cut out the pie. At least they can use some of that money to put back into the development of the game. So let's say like an Exalted, like in if you play Path of Exile, Exalted is like kind of one of the big currency. They have like an Exalted or like a Chaos Orb or whatever. Those motherfuckers can sell $10 to $15 first week they come out. Per each. Now maybe on the non it's like what, 50 cents or something ridiculously cheap, but you get the idea. Like, the season resets, the economy resets, and it allows for trading and the consumption of items, and there was a lot of potential there to not only generate revenue for the company and let them keep investing money back in the game. Players could have made their own money, and it would have been an okay system, but everybody was so concerned about everybody else buying gear, which is going to happen anyway. And I told people, if people don't buy gear, they're just going to buy. So, my whole point is, they wanted no trading. And this is the game that everybody wanted. They wanted no trading. They didn't want no people to pay to win, even though people still buy accounts. So now, they made it so that, okay, well, we can't trade anybody else. Alright, well, shit, I can't trade anybody else unless they're in my party. So now, Blizzard doesn't have to worry about the bots because a bot can only bot the items for itself. The bot can't bot, for a lot of hours and then trade it to another account or sell it, because there is no third party selling really in terms of selling items. So now Blizzard doesn't have to worry about actually maintaining a player economy and banning bots on a regular basis. Think about it. If the bots can't trade anything and there's no third party trading anymore, well, do I really even need to stop the bots? Not really. Because you're not going to be able to trade to those bots anyway. Now, I mean, think about that. I don't have to put any money into people who are going to sit there and manage the bots all day or see what's going on. I don't have to have a person that's going to ban them, because banning the bots, who gives a fuck? They can't trade to any of these other players. The worst thing a player could do is bot their own account. Now, that can give them gains, but outside of botting for yourself, if I was Blizzard, I wouldn't touch the bots. Who cares, right? Because it's like, well, they're not hurting the player economy because there is no player economy, and this is what we wanted. This is the bed we made, and this is why we need to lie in it. At least I didn't want the situation. I always told people, I said if they do this and got rid of trading, it's just going to make botting a lot worse, because there's no incentive for Blizzard to protect the player economy and deal with this kind of stuff, and this is the situation we're in. So they made this big post, and they're talking about, the message has engaged aspects, leaderboards and conquest, and difficult for us. And they talk about the rift stones and how hard it is to keep up with bots. And then you have all these freaking signatures from major streamers from Diablo and all this other kind of people in the community and shit like that. And the funny thing is, why do you even need to put your Twitch link to your fucking account? Why do you have to put your YouTube link? Why do you have to put your Twitch link? Why do you have to have people go to your social media place to see who the fuck you are? You don't give a fuck about the game. I'm going to be very blunt and honest. You don't give a fuck about the game. You didn't give a fuck about the game then. You don't give a fuck about the game now. But you put your name on a list so you can get your information up there so people can see what you're talking about or message or you're about your fucking stream. Right? If you really cared about the game, you'd have been talking like how I was about this shit a long time ago. We would have been trying to discuss it. I try to educate people on why the trading system was good and how it wasn't bad, and this has been the traditional mainstay, and how that it's the lesser of the two evils, and that if you get rid of it, another evil is going to pop up. It's going to get much worse. People are just going to bot rampantly. So when I saw all this, I just say this is a crock of shit. I ain't gonna put nobody specifically on blast, but there's some motherfuckers on here who fucking used to show off YouTube videos to get views of exploits and shit. And these are the same people talking about how they want changes in the game. These are the same motherfuckers that... You're playing with people who bot and only bot. Oh, I didn't know that guy, and that was in my party that completed the Greater Rift where we got rank 1 in the groups. Had average of 22 hours a day. Yeah, you're fucking full of shit. You knew this shit was coming. You don't really care about the game. You care more about the views. You care more about promoting yourself. You don't give a fuck about making the game better. My whole thing is the reason why I stuck with Diablo 3 for so long is because I wanted to see the game be better than Diablo 2, and it had a great potential to do that. But a lot of people had so many different ideas and was jumping on bandwagons and saying all this kind of shit about how the game should be and how it should evolve, and at the end of the day, you really weren't putting a lot of thought into it. You didn't fuck. You don't give a fuck about the game. You don't give a fuck about the player base, the community, or none of that shit. You don't. Because your actions don't reflect it. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing was, I always try to do witch doctor class, help people out, put the guides out there. If people have a question, I'll answer it. And I used to tell them, and I used to warn people about this shit. I used to say, like, you gotta be careful about who you watch, because a lot of these motherfuckers are just trying to get you for clickbait, view bait, whatever the bullshit is. They're not trying to evolve the game. They're not trying to make it go in the right direction. A lot of these motherfuckers play with shady other people. I remember I used to tell people about Gavinator. No one listened. People said I was jealous. I'm like, no, I'm not jealous. It's just weird. He comes out of nowhere. He's almost close to Paragon 1000. He probably was using the exploit to get experience, and then found out he did. Then people found out he botted. Then people found out all these people are using Turbo HUD. No shit. No shit. No shit. No fucking duh. You know? My whole point is this. Blizzard's not to blame. The developers are not to blame. I always say this. It's 5% the developers' fault. 15% The money man, and the money man dictates what games get presidents because what's making money. But technically, you can kind of still blame us for that because we could have had the money in the system, but we all wanted to get rid of a real money auction house. Have a great fucking idea that is. And maybe introduce microtransactions, but look at China. China has microtransactions in the Diablo 3, and they're doing actually quite well. And I bet you they're going to get constant updates and content stuff because they want to keep making money, but I digress. And that leaves 80%. The 80% blame is the community. The community let this happen. All the times we could have banded together and stopped it or suggested some ideas or really talked about some valid points about how Diablo could improve. Instead of making those YouTube videos about what's the newest exploit or what's the newest easy way to get from 1 to 70 or easiest way just to be lazy and get ahead of the game, instead of teaching other people in the community to have good habits such as enjoying the game and playing with your friends and playing a class that you like and developing yourself as a good player, improving yourself instead of just taking the easy way out. Instead of showcasing and, you know, like all the, you know, clearly like, you know, you're using Turbo HUD in your videos when you're pushing the greater rifts and shit like that, or leading to the idea that people think it's okay to cheat. Like, out of all this shit we could have done, out of all the stuff y'all could have done, it's the community's fault. We made this game shit. It's not Blizzard to blame, it's not the developers. It's the community's fault. And this has been a long time coming. And the reason I haven't been playing Diablo in the last couple weeks is because I'm bored of this fucking game. Well, I'll tell you this, I'm not bored of it, but my whole point is, why am I going to invest time into a system that rewards people who bot and cheat? You know, at least before we could trade some items, and at least I can make some money and have some fun that way. And it used to be always a high for me was getting the money, or getting the money and getting the items, because I'm telling you, like, it used to be crazy. You find an item for 250 bucks, sell it on the auction. That shit used to be cool. I mean, I know people don't like that, but it's like, it was going to happen anyway, and I enjoyed it. Because it was like a treasure hunt, right? Literally like a treasure hunt. But I digress. The community's to blame for this. We put ourselves in this situation. We asked for all the things that Blizzard put in the game, and now look where we're at. People used to think Greater Rift trial keys were a great idea. You know, people thought Paragon was the greatest thing when it went global across account, and I was one of the more people that said that's dangerous. You don't want Paragon levels to be race signified through all characters because it's going to make things really wonky. And I also said they should cap Paragon levels. Paragon levels shouldn't go on infinitely because that's eventually just people are going to cheese out rifts and cheese out certain things by just getting higher level Paragons. And I said eventually the system's is going to get to a point where people are probably going to bot or do what they got to do to get Paragon levels so they can progress ahead. Fast forward to the future, what are people doing now to get Paragon level? They're botting to get the keys so they can keep grinding, so they can put a place on leaderboards. This thread is just absolutely terrible. It's not about an open letter from the community. Okay? For me, all I see is people complaining about shit that I could have told you years ago that this was going to happen because the community wanted to have its way because it was like a whiny fucking child, and then self-promotion of people who want to sign it and shit like that. You don't give a fuck about the game. Okay, I'm going to be real with you. Look at my face. Diablo is one of the greatest, if not greatest, RPGs of all time. I love Diablo 1 and I love Diablo 2, and it's a fantastic game. Diablo 3 started off shitty, but it had potential to be something great. The big difference between Diablo 2 and Diablo 1 and Diablo 3 is that the developers listen too much from us. And now we have such an entitled, whiny attitude that nowadays everybody thinks they needed to have their own way, have the easy legendary drops, and get everything that what they wanted. So, it's not Blizzard, okay? It's the fucking community, okay? You remember Zillion OP? You know, crazy King Kongor stuff used to do, fucking Kriparian, fucking Kungin, all those guys and shit, exploits and all that crazy shit, and showing the wrong gameplay and promoting the wrong thing, and people who just came in and decided Diablo 3 is an easy game to play, and you promote yourself, and they didn't care about the community, because they're gone now. You know, and I always told people that. But, you know what? For me at least, I like making builds and guides and helping people. That won't change from Diablo 3. But in terms of me investing my time into a season where most of the high-level people are botting vagrantly and they're not even getting punished for it, and I'm not going to bot and I'm not going to use Turbo HUD, so what's the next natural action? My next step is just to say, I'm going to go for this level of content, I'm going to go for my own personal goals, and I'm not fucking with seasons no more. So, you know, like I said, hopefully I can hit Paragon 1000. I don't even think I'll hit that. I think I can do Greater for level 70. That's it. That's all I said. I want to do Greater for level 70. Paragon 1000, that might be a stretch. If that's good, I'm done with seasons. Why keep playing? There's no reason to. Not to mention, with BlizzCon coming up, there's only 1 hour on the Diablo 3 discussion panel. And unless they drop some mega secret-ass fucking expansion, which I don't, it's a wrap for Diablo. I gave this game like years of my attention since Diablo 3 beta, and it's so fucked up. Now, I'm not saying I'm quitting the game. I'll still play seasons and dabble here and there and make guides and help people out. But a lot of my times are not going to be devoted to Diablo 3 that much anymore. And this probably might be my last vlog for the season because there's really nothing else to talk about. This season just went to shit, man. It's mostly just because there's botting issues is not getting dealt with, and the community wants to act like they actually care when they fucking don't. If they cared, we would have been on this shit a long time ago, but nobody was. Until now, we're in the current situation when the fucking boat's almost halfway sunk into the water, and now we're going to start, hey, let's start doing a plan so we can figure out a way, to survive this encounter. No, to survive this encounter, we should have had lifeboats and life vests prepared in the situation if something was sinking. It's too late. We're all gone. We're all going to freeze in that water, die. Diablo 3 is a fun game just to pick up and play. If you really want to take seasons seriously, it's just not worth it for the leaderboards because there's too much cheating going on. Now, if you don't mind using those cheats yourself, then by all means. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, why am I wasting my time to use these cheats just to rank on a system? And some people say ranking doesn't matter. If ranking doesn't matter, then why did Blizzard develop a whole system for ranking? Do we really need a great leaderboards? Do we really need greater rifts and all that shit and pushing endless levels and pushing higher? Couldn't they just made more acts and develop more characters and made new quests and fun shit like that instead of making the game about competition? Because here's my whole thing: if you actually have a leaderboard and you actually develop some of your content towards competition, why would you not balance it? Because you spend all this development time making the system and then you don't balance it. What's the point? You're not dealing with the bots, you're not dealing with any of that stuff. But then again, I still blame the community. We brought this upon ourselves. So, I know I'll be playing a lot of StarCraft and Tree of Savior coming up. So look forward to that. I'll be making some StarCraft videos for Terran and stuff, because Legacy of the Void looks pretty cool so far. Even though Terran looks kind of weak, but that's okay. I will still be doing Diablo. Maybe not as often as I did before. I will still be doing updates to my Witch Doctor guides and putting out videos, because I know you guys like that. And that's pretty much about it. I'm waiting for Lost Ark, or even the Lineage action RPG that's supposed to be coming out. I'm really waiting for Lost Ark. I think that's going to be the next big action RPG, and I'm hoping it will be. And, I'm going to be playing a little bit of Path of Exile as well, too. So, if you see me playing Path of Exile, StarCraft 2, and you know the reason why I'm not investing too much time in Diablo 3, for at least for this season, because it's pretty much done for me this season. But, long story short, community brought this upon themselves. This open letter from the community is basically just to get people promotions. People don't really fucking care. Like, do we really need this whole post? It's just a crock of shit, let's just be honest. If you really cared, we would have been dealing with this shit a long time ago, instead of just trying to put a band-aid on a fucking gashing wound that we knew was coming from a long time. But hey, that's just my opinion. I hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed this video log. I'll see if I can still keep up with the video logs, man. I think this is number 14. I could be wrong. I don't know, but hope you guys have a good day. See you guys next time I'm online streaming, and good luck in seasons.